Hello, my name's Arthur and welcome to the RMA YouTube channel. We'll be carrying out car reviews from cars we've got in stock, road tests, actually cost of ownership issues, and actually what to look for when you're buying a used car from people like us, or from any car dealer, where we give in-depth technical knowledge from our vast experience from different brands, our knowledgeable experts we've employed in this business. Myself, I was a mechanic, my brother was a mechanic, we've got 4 mechanics working for us as salespeople now, so you get that level of detail when you buy a car. So I worked for Ferrari from 2005 to 2011, and Ferrari, Maserati, Bentley and Bugatti. I was workshop manager and service manager, so I'll walk you around the cars and give you a bit of detail on cost of ownership and what to look out for during the sales process, the sales journey we call it. So, 2 cars I've picked out of our stock today is Ferraris. 2 Ferraris, F430 and a Ferrari 599. A 2011 599 and 2007 F430. A standard 430 versus an HGTE 59, no comparison, but we just want to show you what the ownership cycle and cost of ownership for each vehicle is. Starting with a car that's so close to my heart is Ferrari F430. The first Ferrari that actually, when I joined Ferrari Kuwait as workshop manager in 2005, 2 months later, this car was launched and they sent me to Maranello. What a dream it was. Coming from Ford versus Ferrari, old film there. So yeah, really loved it. Technical training in Maranello and actually road test driving it around Fiorano. Launched in 2005, last car iteration was Scuderia. And as you know, it's the evolution from 360, which again was the evolution from 355. Starting with the engine, at the back. We'll go into detail on the road test, but it's a V8 engine. It's basically 483 horsepower. This car has actually done 32,500 kilometres. So it's been well maintained, well looked after. We've just brought it into stock ourselves a couple of weeks ago. Now, if we're talking about ownership, cost of ownership, most costly concern would be the F1 gearbox, or the F1 clutch to be more precise. On the Ferrari F430, they could last, I've seen them on hire cars that we looked after in Kuwait, 8,000 kilometres you had to change the clutch. In some cases a flywheel because they burnt out. They can last up to 35, in very good conditions, 45,000 kilometres. An easy way to, I'll show you in road test how it is, the bite point of the clutch. Basically when you engage in gear, if it slips or if it drags. You can actually adjust them in the Ferrari 360. It's called the kiss point, the PIS, but in these it's fully automatic, so if it's either biting or slipping, that's a problem. What to watch out for, used Ferraris, 430s especially, is the rear tail lights. Just give them a quick little wiggle, and if they're quite sturdy, it's good. They're held on by 3 bolts and actually break very easily. They're brittle in the sun, especially in the Middle East cars. Round the back, another thing is to watch out for is the tailpipes in the 430. There's actually a special tool to lock them in place and to adjust it because they're so close to the bumpers, and it could be an issue going forward with heat melting and such, like thermal incidents we call them. Let me open the bonnet quickly. Very easy to open the bonnet. We flick the switch. Oh, here we go. Now, very interesting. What used to happen, very hot car, some of them used to come in, put the hand on the exhaust. There's the actual imprint of Ferrari without a hand there, or a mechanic's hand. Coolant reservoir here, again, do not open when it's hot, very easy to check. Engine oil, it's got a dry sump, as most Ferraris do. So here's the filler cap here, engine running, have it in there. You've got power steering level here, the ZF power steering in the middle, and that's basically it. Now, inside the quarter panel here, you'll not see it just now, we'll show you later, is where the F1 pump and system is, and this is where all the potential issues can happen. What is really, really, really important is that during service, if you take it to a non-OEM dealership, it has to be Tutela F1 oil. If you start mixing the grade of oil, the mineral oils, it's a headache. It'll destroy all the seals in the hydraulic system, the actuators, everything. So that's one key and critical point on all Ferraris. Small leaks from the cam cover gasket, it happens. The rubber components, they will leak. But most important thing, cost of ownership on this car compared to 360 from an engine point of view is a lot less. They've got timing change. You have to replace the timing chains about every 100,000 kilometres, 60 odd thousand miles. opposed to the 360 where it evolved from. You had to change the town belts, tensioners every 3 to 4 years. Can you hear that? It's an F1 pump priming. So that's the first thing you notice when you open the car, you hear F1 pump priming. Every F1 transmission car does it, and make sure it does do it. It's the first sign of the pump not working. Now the biggest evolution, or revolution let's call it, was the Manatino on the steering. Now we'll go into detail in road test, but this basically, it changed the characteristics of the suspension, the F1 paddle shift, quicker shifting, removed the traction control in some cases. If you moved up to CST off, I used to call it the button of doom, because yeah, you didn't want to do that on a wet road, or a wet Fiorano, as I found out when I lost the back end my first time round. Going on to our second Ferrari of the day, the HGTE handling pack Ferrari. Now, 599 launched in 2007 up to 2012. This is a 2011 HGTE, which was in the last evolution or last special edition, let's call it. Again, it's got the HGTE pack, which consists of uprated anti-roll bars, spring rates, different seat, different mapping for the suspension, different mapping for the engine, different exhaust, and beautiful 20-inch alloys. Beautiful car. It is all about the F1, how to look after the F1 clutch and system. The GTs, as these were, and the 612s, very user-friendly. Daily car, still a daily car. Again, it's to do with the size of the clutch. And we're talking about clutches as one of the endemic only cost of ownership issues, let's call it. A bigger clutch in the V12 engine compared to the V8 Ferrari engine, with smaller clutch. It was thicker, a lot higher revving. That's how you get the smaller flywheel, smaller diameter. They are thicker clutch packs in the 430, but they don't last as long. These, I don't think I ever changed in my 5 years. We had a couple of issues with hydraulic systems leaking when we've got the cars up on the ramp. We'll go through where the actuators can leak from, where the F1 pumps can leak from, all that stuff. Again, as long as the car's serviced regularly, serviced, it's healthy. Everyday car, HGTE handling seats on it, very comfortable seats. The second car of the day to have the Manatino steering wheel. It's got so many different, and especially on the HGTE pack, this pack actually saved 0.6 of a second round Fiorano during testing versus standard 599. And again, when it's in race or CST, really firmed up the suspension, the shift patterns, the shift rates. Beautiful car. There's a lot of carbon fibre on it. Rev counter on the steering wheel will go on in the road test, you'll see it. It's the first car to have this on the steering wheel. Then the Scuderia came out with it. Really, really great little bit of theatre there from Ferrari. You think you're in an F1 car. Well, basically you are. It's a derived Enzo engine in this. So it's 612 horsepower V12 engine. We'll go into there very, very, very quickly. So 612 horsepower V12 engine derived from the Ferrari Enzo. Ferrari Enzo had a couple of issues, small issues, as this engine does, the evolution of, where it's had camshaft oil leaks, where you had to remove the inlet manifolds and all the bits and pieces. So it's not a big job, but again in the Enzo it was a huge job because it was right up against the bulkhead, nightmare of a job. This is the evolution from the 575. We actually have my brother's 575 in the lineup today because we've got Ferrari corner. That's the only car in the whole workshop, I call it workshop, I'm still a mechanic, in the showroom that's not for sale. As a Ferrari, as an everyday car, it is an everyday car. So it's all about aerodynamics in this car. You can see the cut in into here, which directs the air for actual downforce through these flying buttresses into here onto the very, very small lip. This prevents the car from having to have a big spoiler. The amount of downforce this car is required because of the 612 horsepower, it's huge. It's actually quite twitchy, this car, you'll see in road test. If you've got the CST off, it's a bit leery and crazy. Down to the back, you've got the diffuser, you've got the modified exhaust tips, and as the HGTE pack, that's as far as it goes. Tail lights are fine, never had them breaking. For Ferrari, this is a big boot space. This is enough, this is adequate to put your Louis Vuitton or Ferrari luggage in. it's perfect, it's adequate. You can actually still see it's got the instruction manual, it's got the pack inside, batteries. It's very important to battery maintenance on these vehicles, any Ferrari, because mostly at this age it's not your daily driver. You have to keep them, I'd say once a week. Just give it a charge, a few hours, half a day once a week, and you'll be okay, as we do in our showroom. What we'll do, we'll go out and road test and then we'll have a look underneath the cars. But yeah, this is Italian corner this week. So we've got the Maserati, also GT, very close to my heart. I had one as for a weekend toy when I worked for Maserati. Alfa Giulia QV, great car. I've actually got a Stelvio QV just now in Competizione Red, and our 599. But again, 599 HGTE we'll focus on, 430, great cars. We'll get them up in a ramp, we'll look underneath them. We'll talk about ownership and driving and what to do and what not to do during driving. It's critical. Let's go next door. Glad I fit into more overalls. That's been about 17 years since I fitted into them last time. So what I'll do, as promised, I'll take you through underside of the F430 and quickly the 599. Again, we'll go about the F1 system and all the technology and issues that could arise from that. So firstly, 430, we discussed about the exhausts. You need the gaps in there. Make sure there's gaps around all these panels. Easier to see than in the first video. Tyres, brand new tyres now actually, 2022 model. Underneath here you'll see the size of the engine cover. It's about a third of the car and it's sitting down behind us there, but 3 points you have to make sure. You'll never see it without taking the engine cover off, but you can see the leaks. So it's very important. We can look up to this bit of technology up here, but that is the E differential in there. Now this is the electronic actively controlled differential. It's limited slip diff. You can see the pipes going into it there. On the other side, exactly other side from that, is the actuator for the clutch. If you go along the side here, you sometimes get a normal sweating, breathing of the oil. It's okay. This car is immaculate, as you can see, 36,000 kilometres, no oil leaks at all. The pipes run into the front radiator, the cooling system, very interesting. Alternator is also cooled. So you've got cooling pipes running from the front to the back for a lot in there. So you can just see the heat build up in the back of the engine here. All the way to the front, what to watch out for is lower ball joints and bushes. Don't last long at all in the summer temperature, especially Kuwait when it was 60, well, it was 45 degrees, but road temperature was 60 degrees. Nightmare. So this has got standard brakes on it, this has got metal brakes. Bit rusty, not been used for a while, always build up rust. You can get them cleaned off very easily. Easier to live with than the carbon ceramic. So across to this beast, the 599. Again, as you can see the diffuser there, you can really see the ground effects this is producing for keeping this tail end on the ground. Up to the front, engine in the front of course, gearbox in the back, split 50-50, opposed to the other one, engine in the back, gearbox in the back. Catalysts there, you just have to watch out for the bell housing. Look in here, it's okay actually. Engine's very clean, no oil leaks at all. We moved the lower cover from this, the rear cover, let's call it the rear diff cover and gearbox cover. So underneath here, what you really have to look out for, and this is synonymous in 599s, is if you see these pipes, this is the F1 fluid pipes going to the actuators. Imagine you've got a neutral. You've got first gear, second gear, third gear, fourth gear, fifth gear, so on. This is basically what these valves inside here do. It pushes the pressure to each valve and it opens it, pushes the gear back and forward through the actuator, through the gate, let's call it, and it's measured in bits. And you can actually tell when it goes to neutral in the car, see the clutch is worn or it's not selecting gear, it's jamming, it's not got enough F1 pressure, fluid pressure. So if there's not enough F1 pressure or fluid pressure, there's two things. There's air in the system, again you have to bleed it, it's most distant point for the 599, it's up at the front where the clutch is, and then down here you can bleed it through here and the bleed nipples the actuator. But for these, if you look here, where the pipes come in, they can tend to leak here, but more likely, this is the actuator. They leak from the bellow here, and you can actually see stains on the cover, on the actual engine cover, dripping through if it's leaking here. Always double check any sweat marks on the underside of the stone guard, and it's more than likely, if it's in this area, beside the rear left wheel, the near side rear wheel, it's going to be an actuator. Actuator, they're not cheap. Anything in Ferrari is not cheap, but yeah. Other than that, again, the carbons are okay, drive shafts are okay, nothing goes wrong with them. Yeah, just make sure the exhausts are tight and where they are. There isn't actually a special tool to adjust these, but they're very, very easy to move anyway. So yeah, that's it. Again, we've not got a workshop. These are just for checking cars, but again, it's handy. I impart knowledge onto my mechanics. I've got two mechanics, one's Aston Martin, one's Porsche. Good guys, they know their stuff. So that's the most important thing, is when we're checking cars for preparation for the showroom, is all this kind of work. All the guys have been trained. We sell probably about 2 Ferraris a month, but again, Maserati, very similar system. Rolls Royces, BMWs, we've all got expertise in that. Well, my brother does, and Mercedes-Benz, we've got 2 Mercedes-Benz experts. So, yeah, that's it. Time to Arnie, put the cover back on, because I'm not a mechanic anymore. Cheers, guys. So, welcome to the cabin of the F430. Now, a couple of things to note here. And again, I'll re-emphasise the part about the clutch and how to test the clutch, how to take off in the clutch. But very importantly is the Manatino. Always keep it on sport. It's your preference really. Sport, if it's wet outside, I'd keep it on low traction. You've got snow setting down there, but you'll use that in Scotland, not in the Middle East. So sport, race, CST off. I don't recommend it unless you're on a track. That'd be the last thing. So the button of doom. So we'll keep it in sport for this road test, and then we'll walk up to race. Again, that adjusts the E differential. I forgot to say, and we'll show you when the car's up in here. The first Ferrari with Manatino, first Ferrari with an E differential, which is an electronic differential. It's basically a limit slip differential, computerized controlled, and this frees it up or locks it up. Another thing you'll notice here, non-standard radio. There was Becker stereos were a standard, but the LCD used to degrade, well they do degrade. Always keep the original stereo, folks, because it's worth money. Keep it as original as possible when you're selling it. So, the best way to check the F1 clutch. Now, handbrake off of course, in neutral, up 1, first gear. It's not automatic, you can hit it and it's into manual, or you hit it in a launch control. We'll not do any launch control stats because again, it really does limit the life of the clutch, really limits it. So, to test it, if you're in a nice car park, like I am just now, you can take off and you can feel the bite point. You feel that? So it's not slipping, it's not biting, it's not too sharp. So what to do is, you stop, put it in neutral, put it into reverse, look around you, again, exactly the same. Great bite point in this car. 32,700 kilometres, great bite point. So keep on doing it. Do it about 2 or 3 times. When it's cold, try it, and also when it's hot. Great takeoff in this car. Great bite point. Kiss point of the clutch. So remember what I said, you can manual adjust in the 360. It's 4.8 to 5.2 millimetres in distance when you've got the travel for the clutch. When you've got the SD2, the diagnostic was for the old 360, this was the SD3 diagnostic, and it's all automatic. So if you do feel it slipping or biting, yeah, it's going to need a new clutch potentially. So let's take it for a quick road test. Let's drive. Actually, this is an everyday car, unless it's raining or snowing. So yeah, you'll feel it. Here, knock up the sports. Nice, precise balance of this car is amazing. You can feel the diff working in there. Actually, this tyre probably could do with a set of tyres. This car could do with a set of tyres. So nice, easy. I can keep it in auto mode and it'll manually change. Like I say, it's Very user friendly 430, 360, 430, 458. Again, I'm not going to thrash this car. This car's for sale with us, and a road test and focus on the clutch is enough to say this car is good for the next customer. I wouldn't take it high speed anyway, but yeah. Visibility around the car's great. Steering's great in the car. Like I'm saying, you can get to the part. See, I'm going round the corner, and you can get your hands to the F1 paddle shifts. It's in the right place. I remember going round Ferrari and it was really, oh mate, it was perfect. Far into auto now. Sorry, it wasn't auto. Yeah, great, smooth shifting. You can blip it. Precise, light, balanced focus steering. That's the way every Ferrari should be. Change of direction awesome, change of gear awesome. This is a good car. One thing I'd say, never do a hill start without handbrake. Here's a good example. Right, coming to the workshop, using the handbrake for a hill start. Am I going to make it? Am I going to make it? Yes I am, but I'll stop here for you. Into neutral. Sitting in traffic, always neutral. Never sit in traffic with it in first gear. Well, you can, but if it's sitting in stop start, yeah. So first gear, handbrake on, always put the weight on the handbrake, and bike out perfect. But welcome to the 599 cockpit. Difference is between this and the 430? Not much really. You just get in, drive it, stick it in first gear. Again, test the clutch. Beautiful takeoff. Hit the brakes. Neutral, reverse, yeah, nothing behind me. Beautiful takeoff, 14,000 kilometres, these clutches will last for like 50, 60 easy. Again, first gear, the car's quite warm so it's fine. Yeah, smooth as silk, smooth as silk. Let's take it round for a quick, very, very quick run, once round the block. Great turning circle. Steering feels so positive, so everyday. Second gear, Manatino, same logic as the F430. Just goes into throttle control, suspension settings, E-diff settings, all the different calibrations. Great car to live with and drive. This is a car close to my heart. Again, I lived with them, I used them, I drove them, I worked in them. Used to take them home at night. No cameras, you've just got your sensors to rely on. I remember getting in my Jaguar when I had my company car at Ferrari. I used to put my Jaguar at neutral when I stopped. It's because I drove Ferraris so often. Again, so easy to live with, such a great car. Perfect car, really nice car to drive. Again, a great little bit of paved road we've got here because it's you can hear every little knock, rattle, bang. These cars are like tuning forks, you do hear a lot through them. Again, same as 430. Hand on the handbrake, first gear engaged, pull, off, hill start. Never rock, never ever rock. Here we go, we'll test it one more time. Brake, yeah. Again, you can leave it in neutral in traffic. If you're sitting for a long time, I always recommend neutral. First gear, handbrake off, point, there we go. 997 GT3, not an RS, but it's manual. And that's what's missing in this car, manual. They only made 30 manuals. They made so many limited editions. Well, actually, they made, I think it was 4 limited editions. One was a GTO, which is stupid money, really, really crazy money. Zagato done 7 homologation, well, 7 special editions, 2 of which were manual, and funnily enough, I looked after and I took a manual F599 for a road test on PDI, pre-delivery inspection. It was brand new. Put it neutral, make sure it's neutral. So took that for a road test. What a car, so leery. You could, it didn't really matter, race, sport. It did actually matter to the traction control and the E-diff. So that car I drove all the time with sport, the manual, great car. They took that car as a body, as a platform, they took it to Zagato, and they turned it into a Zagato. That's that. That's living with a 599. Easy car to live with. I would have one. This has got a lot more potential to rise in value. All the cars from my era when I worked for Ferrari, this 430, 612, actually it's a daily everyday car, like I say, it's a GT, HGTE especially. This would be an ideal car for me, for anybody, as a daily driver. Again, warranty, just make sure the warranty is, the service history is correct. Clutch is okay, there's nothing else to bother about. So yeah, thank you very much for watching, people. And we'll get a bit more road tests going. I might take the Maserati out next. I might take the Stelvio QV that I've just bought, and my brother's 575. We might do back to back with 575 against this. I'll take for a good road test that one, because my brother's car I can thrash it. Thanks guys, cheers now, bye.